Hi everybody, it's Grace. Welcome to Eating Peace. So, I was recently traveling for about 10 days, and if you're here for the last video, you noticed me being in a hotel room. Well, one thing that I loved about that process, I was at the School for the Work with Byron Katie, my favorite, love doing self-inquiry. And one thing I loved about that process was the invitation to sit in silence for every single meal. Really, every single meal, at least the first hour for sure. And the joy of sitting slowly and mindfully and with great care and attention to the taste and the texture and the beauty of the food and the environment, noticing the people around that are also enjoying their meals. And there's something about silence, the beauty of silence with eating, that is very, very, very supportive. Well, that's totally a practice within Eating Peace. Eating Peace process, really, we're all invited. I invite people regularly to begin to draw more silence into their own lives, even if it's not around food and eating, that you just begin to learn to meditate, even if it's only 5 minutes a day, to be able to sit with yourself on your mind, even if it's chattering away, but to experience stillness is an incredibly transformative experience for many. And it was really, really hard for me the first time I ever went on a meditation retreat. I thought I was going to die. My mind and my thoughts were so loud, they were screaming for attention that I had actually never or rarely given them. My approach to my own thoughts were that they were my enemy. I needed to fight them. I needed to stop having them, crush them, have an argument with them for sure. And I also believed them so automatically. I began to feel all kinds of stressful feelings because of my thinking that was going on in my mind. And while I had learned quite a bit over the years to relax no matter what my mind was doing, when I came up against silence, ooh, that was tricky, that was hard. So part of the Eating Peace process, part of the encouragement of that Eating Peace process is to make friends with silence. Begin to just open up to silence as maybe not such a bad thing if you've thought of it as bad, and experience it as a friend. I would say I really thought of it as bad because it was so uncomfortable. It almost seemed like silence was there being itself, doing what it did, but my mind was so loud and noisy that it just couldn't find any comfort in the middle of silence. Fortunately, practicing just simply being quiet, no matter what your mind is saying, is not that difficult. It's fairly simple. Maybe not so easy, but fairly simple. And to just sit and rest and practice rest. So today, this morning, almost immediately upon return from this wonderful time spent at the School for the Work, I was offering the first of 3 times that I'm giving the same exact webinar. It's just free for anybody. There's no obligation. It's just something to come and try on, where I'm sharing 7 beliefs that really seem to fuel the experience of eating off balance. Common beliefs that I've heard people come out of their mouth, or that they say that they've believed really heavily for a long time. And it was wonderful to be in the webinar. It was great to see all the people that showed up and the chat and the questions that I received. But guess what? I changed it up a little bit. So even though I have said I'm doing the exact same webinar with the same slide deck and the same presentation to give you 3 times this week, it's actually going to be different when I do it on Tuesday and when I do it on Thursday. And here's why. Just like in the Eating Peace process, when you learn to practice and see what worked and what didn't, take it in, notice, have awareness, I realized that I had decided to add more information and more of a practice that I wanted to share with everybody. So I had made maybe 10 more slides And I had no time to really share about the eating peace process. I have so many questions on that, like the actual program that people might want to hear about at the very end. But I also, there was so much information and material, it was too big. Just like when you eat too big of a meal, a little too much. We went past the 90-minute mark, and although there was a lot of insight, and I could tell people were very grateful for walking through these 7 beliefs that I identify, very simple, that you can question, that can help bring in a sense of eating peace, or beginning to work with that mind and your feelings so that you're no longer emotionally eating, so that eating doesn't seem to be a compulsion or something that you do off balance anymore, which is possible for you, and that's possible for anybody. I always say if it was possible for me, and that happened for me, then it's definitely possible for you, because I feel like it was a hard nut to crack. I had a lot going on in this head and a lot going on in the feelings in the body, and many, many beliefs to slowly but surely question over time. And I know that you can do that too. So I just notice, in daily life, so here I am giving the example of a webinar, watching it being too much time, wanting to spend more time on specific details of a practice for eating peace practice, but just not having enough time to really spend to go in depth on that. And just noticing too big of a meal, start again, cut it down. I knew exactly what to cut out, and I just reworked some of the slides and added more to answer some of the questions people had, but made it less in the area that was most important to maybe bring into a different webinar later, like a daily 7-day practice for eating peace. And just to stick with those beliefs because they are so powerful, such a powerful share. So I reworked it, and that's what we do in the process of an ongoing life, noticing what works, noticing what doesn't, noticing what happens when we begin to question our thinking, watching how much time things take, and without self-criticism or difficulty or any need to be critical of what occurred, we just review, move forward, make changes naturally. So it even happened right here in the middle of this offering that I just love to share with people in service to eating peace and to really help us all, help humanity end the suffering involved with compulsive eating, compulsion, weight, the drama of weight loss and hating your body and all that goes along with that, and just the strange experience of overeating or trying to undereat or trying to control what you're eating at all times. So adjustments, and I find, when we see what's really going on in the mind, when we kind of make reviews and adjust, it's just like organizations and groups and relationships and awareness that happens as you live your life. Well, things just naturally become more refined, more beautiful. We can address things that seem to be difficult, work with them, and they become easy. And that's exactly what we're doing in this process of understanding the connection between mind, feelings, and the action of eating. So if you missed it, come along to another option of the Eating Peace webinars this week, and I will be sending out recording links in case you can't make it so that you can watch and see. One of the most important things that I'm sharing in the webinar, I'll leave you with today so that you can just have something to move with besides this idea about just making adjustments that seem to work, little tiny tweaks over time, that we just naturally do when we're watching and aware. But that is the process of think, feel, act, have, which I've alluded to here. I think stressful thoughts, I feel stressful feelings, I eat to help me, help me work with the stress that I'm experiencing. And what I have is the result of either overweight or a sick stomach or unhappiness in my physical condition because of the eating off balance. So what we're really doing with deep eating peace, almost eating peace, can you imagine like if you were eating peace instead of eating your stressful thoughts? Eating peace, allowing that to fill you and consume you and be consumed by you. Our thoughts, as we question them, become more relaxed. The feelings are relaxed or natural. We're not against the feelings anymore. We're not against the feelings that we're having. We know what to do with them. Identify our thoughts about them. Identify the thoughts that produce them in the first place and take them to inquiry. Question them using the work of Byron Katie. Amazing. You get to come up with your own answers. Nobody's telling you what to do. You just come up with your own answers based on seeing your own thought patterns. So then the process of thinking, feeling gets interrupted, and there's no longer a need to eat because of our thoughts and feelings. We can just actually return to experiencing the body in kind of a whole way, feeling hunger, feeling fullness, letting that lead the way, not our feelings and our thoughts and our emotions and our memories, our trouble with situations. So the process moves into thinking, feeling, eating calmly. Now what you have is actually a body that is balanced out. It doesn't hurt, doesn't feel too heavy in weight or too light in weight or too restricted or filled with fear. It's a really wonderful and powerful, balanced experience. And it doesn't mean you're not going to have stressful thoughts, because I still have stressful thoughts all the time. It doesn't mean you're not going to have a stressful feeling, because I do experience stressful feelings. But I know to sit down and work with them on paper, instead of eating as a response to them. My other response, so much more peaceful of a response, so much more exciting and interesting, is to take them through inquiry. And the understanding and awareness brings you to making little shifts that can be amazing, little shifts that can make all the difference in the world over time. All right. So I hope you'll join me with the webinar, and I'll be sure to share links as this all unfolds and the webinars get recorded. You'll be able to find them here on the YouTube channel for Eating Peace. All right. Take care, everybody. Lots of love.